tried to count me out. Count me up. Now all I do is count it up. Count it up. Tell them haters, look at me now. Every day, payday on my fucking calendar. Hey, I remember when the niggas down and out. Down and out. Man, ain't nobody try to help me up. They help me up. Man, tell them haters, look at me now. Look at me now. Every day, payday on my fucking calendar. Hey, hey, hey.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Third Eye Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, King Chris. Now, look, we got a lot to talk about today. Some of it makes sense. Most of it does not. And I need y'all locked in for this one because WWE is moving real questionable right now. So if you're ready, tap that like button like it's a steel chest shot and let's get into it. First off, we got the Grande Americanos, mask versus mask. All right, we got to start here. Explain this to me like I'm 5. How do we have El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano? Nah, seriously, I'll wait. And then on top of that, the Creed brothers come back not as themselves, but as Los Americanos hermanos, Julio and Bruto. So we just doing full identity swaps now? That's where we're at? These dudes haven't had a match since January 26th. They disappear, then pop back up in mass like a side mission we forgot about. And somehow, they avoided all the talent cuts. How? Now, here's where it gets interesting. If this is a mask versus mask match, if one El Grande Americano loses, do all the Los Americanos masks come off as well? Because if that happens, this whole thing collapses instantly. I need y'all in the comments, who should win this? Which El Grande Americano are you riding with? Because right now, this isn't about storytelling. This feels like WWE testing how far they can stretch logic before we call it out. But the next thing that I have on the list to talk about, Oba Femi challenge. Great concept, right? Wrong execution. UT's Akira Tozawa. And I'm thinking, okay, underdog moment. Maybe a shock upset tease. Psych. Then we get Otis. Now listen, Otis isn't a bad pick. But for your first open challenge, you got to make a statement. This match didn't hurt Oba Femi, but it didn't help him either. And that's a problem. Tell me this. Who should have answered that open challenge? Because I could think of at least 5 names that would have hit harder than Otis. Put that down in the comments, yo. All right, let's talk about this Austin Theory, Joe Hendry mess. Austin Theory versus Joe Hendry, or was it even a match? Because the disqualification ending didn't count. Why? The bell never rang. So we just skipping rules now? That's what we doing? And then Joe Hendry's going after Logan Paul. Why? Logan is tied up with the Street Profit situation. So where does Joe Hendry even fit in this? Somebody explain the angle to me. Because right now, this feels like 2 storylines fighting for 1 spotlight. But speaking of the Street Profits, so why are they arguing with Seth Rollins? Like, seriously, has nobody heard the phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my friend? If they worked together, Seth gets what he wants, tearing down the vision. The Prophets get what they want, tag team gold. Everybody wins. But instead, we're bickering, we're clashing, we're wasting time. We're pointing fingers at who to trust, who not to trust, whatever. Y'all want to see them reunite, or y'all see this as a match happening in the future? I don't know. But speaking of in the future, let's talk about Felix. Yes, I am calling y'all GOAT John Cena Felix because that's who he's been since he's retired. He's coming back at Backlash, and I got a sex for what? What can he possibly say that's history making when he's done wrestling? And let's be honest, are we seeing too much Cena after retirement? Because I swear, if he comes out talking about the WWE club membership, we got a problem. Be real with me. Is these Cena moments, appearances, are they hyped up or are they just being forced on us? And speaking of being forced, now this right here, this is serious. WWE putting the first hour of PLEs on ESPN2, then the rest behind a paywall. That makes 0 sense. You're literally breaking your own show in half. And moving PLEs to ESPN in general, that's on TKO. Because now it feels like WWE isn't being treated like entertainment. It's being treated like an investment flip. And when that happens, the fans pay the price. Do y'all like this ESPN setup, or do you want things back the old way? Me personally, I would like things to go back the old way because things on Peacock was way better. It was affordable. The app didn't crash. We had everything going on Peacock, and then they just jumped up and moved to ESPN. And like I said, that wasn't a WWE move. That was a TKO move because they wanted WWE to promote more of their fights, the UFC. We get that. That's cool. But we was doing that before we even got with y'all. So what's the point? But, hey, like I said, fans, all we got to do is just speak louder. We got to speak louder because at this point, they're just treating WWE as a real estate. They invested their money. They want that investment back 50 times fold. And they're going to get it from somewhere, and they don't care. But now let's get into something real interesting. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. They crossed paths for the first time in over a year. And let's not forget this very important detail. Roman has never beaten Seth Rollins when a title is on the line. Let that sink in. He's never beaten him. Roman Reigns is, I believe, 0-4 against Seth Rollins when it comes to a match in general. And I know some of you will say, well, hold on. Roman Reigns did beat Seth Rollins in 2022 at the Royal Rumble. No. Yeah, he may have beaten him physically. But on that record, that was a win for Seth Rollins because Roman Reigns lost control in the match and he got himself disqualified. So that is considered a loss. If we run that match back between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, who you got? I think the smart move would be to have Roman Reigns actually get this one win, because Roman Reigns has done almost everything in this company there is to do. But the one blemish on his resume is he's never beaten Seth Rollins. And we can all agree that it's time. It's time. Because we can see the career alignment for both of them, and it's coming to a close end for both. And we need that clarification for Roman Reigns to actually be able to beat someone he considered a brother for once. Now, I also have to give credit where it's due. I acknowledge that Roman Reigns has kept his word. Roman has been active lately. In the last 2 months, he's shown up more than he did in the past 2 years. But here's the problem. For June, he's not scheduled. So what is this? A phase or a real change? Now, I want people to keep this in mind. We are talking about a professional athlete who is performing and living with leukemia. Roman Reigns stated that we got him for the entire summer. We have him. He's going to be here. But maybe Roman miscalculated his dates, because who knows? Next month he might have to do some treatment. We know that last year he did do some treatment a little bit in the beginning of the summer last year, so he could return for SummerSlam. That is perfectly fine, because we honestly have to say this: Roman Reigns is giving us way more than what we deserve out of him, and knowing that he's still living with this cancer and still giving us the performances that he's giving us, we should give him our gratitude anyway. And the fact that he's given us all these appearances in this quick little 2 months, even though, yes, it was WrestleMania season and, this is the aftermath of WrestleMania, we still have to give him that props, because he could have just went home and rested. But instead, he's coming every week. He's appearing every week. He's doing things in the ring and everything like that. We have to give him that gratitude as fans, because he doesn't have to do that, but he is. Now, the wild card, Jacob Fatu. This man is moving different. Desperate, aggressive, hungry. Is that tongue and death grip Roman's kryptonite? Because if Jacob taps into that desperation the right way, he could actually win on Saturday. But also keep in mind, desperation can also destroy you. Because, look, let's play it out. If Jacob beats Roman, what happens to the family? And if Roman retains, what does that do to Jacob's future? Either way, something changes. On Saturday, something's going to change. Man, listen. WWE got a lot going on right now. Some of it fire. Some of it needs help. Majority of it needs help. But that's why we here, to break it down and call it like it is. So drop your takes in the comments. I'm reading all of them. Hit that like button like it's a steel chair shot to the back. Subscribe and tap in every Tuesday and Saturday with the Third Eye Wrestling Podcast, where we don't just watch wrestling, we see through it. I'm King Chris. I'll catch y'all on the next one.